Hey, what's up, guys? This is Scott.
Andrew?
Ryan?
And Will.
And this is Gamer Radio. Hey, what's up, guys? We're out here at Gamer, greatest game store on the face of the earth. This is a four-man show. It's episode 2, Sunday, February 6th. You're here with myself, Scott Calgieri, the sales manager of Gamer. And to my left, we have...
Andrew Muir. I am the tournament director and technical advisor. To my left is...
Ryan Shearer, owner, general manager. And to my left is...
I'm Will Payne, and now I am also an owner-operator.
All right, folks, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the show. As always, we're going to start each show with the What You Been Playing section. We got some store news, what's been going on with the store. We're going to talk about our favorite industry, of course, the video game industry. Then we got the NGP versus the 3DS, a little roundtable discussion on that. We're looking on the internet. We noticed the top 10 games of 2011. We're going to tell you what we saw there. And then we're going to go over our personal top 10 picks 2011 for each system. We got some gadget talk going on. And that's about it for the show this week. So let's get started. What you guys been playing?
As of lately, I have been playing Borderlands with Will and Ryan actually quite often. So we got the Claptrap Revolution DLC, and it's been a pretty good time.
Phenomenal.
A bunch of random people drop in and drop some weird items as of late.
Some long hours there.
Yeah.
Well, that shield helped out. Huh.
Yeah.
Your defense is what, 200 billion, something like that?
I don't know where I got the shield from, but some guy dropped into our game and dropped off a bunch of items that were either hacked or something exclusive that we didn't know about. And now we can't really die, but I'm not complaining.
You
But
just stand there and melt face.
Yeah, you kind of you don't run and get no cover, nothing. You just stand there like, hey, how you guys doing? I'm gonna shoot you for an hour and a half while I take your level 65 ass down.
I mean, I started and I was level 27 because I hadn't played Borderlands in probably 7 months, and these guys apparently played quite a bit.
Every DLC drop.
I just got these new DLC packs, and they're pretty good time. Claptrap Revolution's pretty funny. Claptrap's everywhere, dropping like panties and pizzas
The
and
peak
3D
panties.
glasses and stuff. Yeah, some pretty cool achievements tied to that as well. But
It's all about the achievement.
yeah, of course. That's pretty much what I've been playing, and Gears 1, of course. You got to go back to that every once in a
Can't
while.
drop the
as well.
gears, baby. Best game for the 360.
I agree. So I mean, what have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of Street Fighter here in the store, actually.
man.
Just getting ready for that MVC3 still.
I think everybody's stoked for MVC3.
Pretty much. I'm ready to wreck people with Wolverine.
The four of us have actually also been playing Street Fighter. I think just before we started the show, we had a little bit of fighting going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Street
it's good.
Fighter, a little Guilty Gear, a little Blaze Blue.
I was gonna say, I showed on my phone you guys were playing Blaze Blue.
Pretty much any fighting game that you can use a fight stick on, we've all been playing.
Funny thing is I've always not been a big fan of fighters, but after playing the fight stick with a fight stick here, with these guys tonight, I had a phenomenal time. I'm actually thinking about picking up a fight stick now, and
Good
And
luck
for all
finding
the people that don't have a fight stick, just go buy the new controller. It's got the circle D-pad in it. I used it on Street Fighter the other night on my Xbox at home, and it worked phenomenally.
it's a completely different feel with a fight stick, though.
It is, but like if you can't,
I
not
hate
every,
fighting games normally, though.
but not everybody's got $200 to throw down on a Mad Catz fight stick.
I agree.
That control
Ori does make a cheaper one.
Yeah.
they do, but I mean that controller's only what $60,
Yeah.
and that D-pad spins up, and it's just like having that 8-octagon stick.
And I don't really like to rep other stores on this or anything, but $60 at Best Buy for a Tekken 6 with the stick.
Yeah, and it's an Oct 12, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's wireless.
Yep, it's only $60.
Yeah.
Gonna have to go to Best Buy tomorrow and pick one of them up for $60. Sounds like a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Definitely not a bad price, not gonna lie.
Oct 12 seems good.
We do love the Octagate, man.
So see, even if you can't get a TE stick, you can still get into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Get a feel for it.
There's always ways around it. You're gonna play on Xbox Live against a lot of people that use the controller that are gonna rape you.
Well, three of us are anyway.
The best way to do it is with the fight stick, especially if you're playing in tournaments around the area.
Not everybody can afford $60 a year for Xbox Live, all right? Some of us don't get paid enough at work.
Yeah.
Stop spending
Sorry,
money
you guys-
on other stuff.
You guys been playing anything else you can think of?
PSP Go, been playing some
That's right.
Ys 7, Ys, the Oath and Felghana. Game is absolutely amazing. Kind of hard to explain. It's like a action adventure RPG, but it's very fast paced. A lot of great combos, great story, and the boss fights in that game are epic. I know Ryan stuck at I think the second boss already. Battles so hard. I mean, I had trouble with every boss fight in that game. I think I didn't beat a single one without dying at least once, and I rarely die in video games. So that's a really, really good title for the PSP.
Toot toot. Just want to throw that in there. He's tooting his own horn. Would like to play a little Big Planet 2 if my Blu-ray drive didn't go out on my PS3.
Yeah.
Junk systems.
I've actually not ever played any of the Little Big Planets. I probably should do that at some point.
Yeah, they're
Very enjoyable games.
they're fun.
I'm backlogged on the PS3 games, man. I haven't.
Sock Boys Adventures never end.
Back on that Metal Gear. I need to be. Yeah, I'm so far behind on that. Too many new good games coming out lately.
And 360's dropping too much to deal with.
Yeah, I've put in Dead Space 2 for the first time the other night, and that was pretty much amazing. And I had the best gaming picture for anybody right here. I'm sitting there in my basement. All the lights are off. You know, the only light in the whole room is the light of the LED in the controller and the TV. You know, got the Astro A40s on, getting scared out of mine every 2 seconds, wrapped up in my pink Snuggie.
It's his mom's pink Snuggie.
That's true. It is. It is. But I tell you what, no. In all honesty, the Snuggie's great for gaming because your hands are free to play the video game.
That's true. That's
just
true.
like the commercial says, man.
But the sad thing is most people just turn the heat on in their house and sit in their their boxers and play. You're in your mom's pink Snuggie. It's cool though, dude.
You know, my mom likes to turn the heat off at night, and as I stated earlier, somebody doesn't pay me enough, so I can't afford my own place.
Yeah. As far as that all goes, have you found it pretty unsettling as of late?
Oh, extremely.
I'm pretty sure my mom would hate it according to the commercials.
Yeah. I freaking love it. I'm on my second playthrough right now. I haven't really had much of an opportunity to get back on the Dead Space wagon, but I would love to get through my next playthrough.
I'm still on the first playthrough because I have my friends that jump on Xbox Live that don't allow you to play nothing but Gears of War and Borderlands. Hey, what are you playing in that Dead Space? No, you need to be on Gears. No. But you always end up on what people are playing.
That hardcore mode, man, that's going to be...
Peer
quite
pressure will
the
get you every
challenge.
time.
Coincidentally, we're having a roundtable discussion next week on Dead Space 2, so let's not get too far into that.
All right, makes sense.
Alright guys, that's enough about Dead Space 2. Like you said, we got that roundtable discussion. Well, that's it for the What You've Been Playing section. We're going a little bit of store news for you. As you guys heard last week, we do have the Beatdown series starting off next weekend. Everybody's excited for that this coming Saturday.
Yes.
Super Street Fighter 4 action going on. Just getting ready for release MVC3. And as for the Beatdown series, we got the payouts for everybody right now. We have a custom tournament edition stick with $150 in store credit for the winner. Second place is also going to get $150 in store credit. And third place will get $75 in store credit. It's going to be a $5 entry fee for everyone. It's going to be a great time. You're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of great players out here. I know I got a lot of friends in town who've been just dying to get a place to go play fighting games. So they're all really excited about coming out to that event. Also, got another special going on for you. Monster's only going to be $2 here for the Beatdown series for all tournament participants. So got a lot going on with the Beatdown series as well.
What about spectators?
Yes, and spectators as well. I'm sorry. Basically, everyone in the store, whether you're a customer coming to buy something, a tournament participant, or a spectator just coming to watch the fun, a lot of the fighting action, it's only going to be $2 for everybody.
16 ounce.
Yes, for the 16-ounce monster.
Yeah,
So any thoughts on the Beatdown series, guys?
Freaking excited to see some really, really good players.
Yeah, watching each other play, we're not very good. And when some good people come out here, like we were watching all those Daigo videos.
Gonna be interesting to watch.
Gonna be a lot of smack talk going down.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be a big can of everybody talking smack.
Leave it to Will to talk smack.
Yeah, I'm good at it. You don't want to play Gears with me, I'll talk smack all day.
Yeah, Beatdown series looks great. I'm excited for the launch party. Hope to see y'all out there. Another thing in the store for you. We got a bonus going on. $35 bonus trade-in for all Xbox 360s. That's right, you did hear me correctly. $35 trade-in bonus. Can't beat that anywhere you go.
So that's an extra $35 when you trade in it.
Yes, in addition to what the 360s already trade in at, an extra $35.
All right.
Yeah, so don't bring your regular Xbox up here. That don't apply. It's a 360 only.
You are correct, Will. My apologies on that one.
Hey, it's all good. Sometimes people think Xbox, and you just stay on Xbox. They don't. Most people hear Xbox. I think original Xbox when you say Xbox.
That's true. We at the store, whenever someone says Xbox, we do ask them, are you talking about original or 360?
Right.
Xboxes are more than welcome, but
You don't get no $35 bonus
Right.
on Xbox.
Yeah, regular Xbox are dime a dozen, so
And we still have our $5 bonus on the list on the games on the site.
right.
Yes, www.gamervg.com. You go to trade-ins, you hit the list up. There's a massive list of every game on the list that is a $5 trade-in bonus. In addition to what it already trades in at, a lot of games on there. You're looking to upgrade some of your old stuff. The biggest parts of the list are actually Super Nintendo and PlayStation 1. So just take a look at the old collection, dust it off, get it out of the attic.
Also, coming off of that, if you don't have the internet, call us at 567-525-5757.
Yeah, store hours 10 to 9. Call us anytime in between there. We'll be glad to answer your calls. Well, that's enough for news about the store. Let's go ahead and get on to news about our favorite industry, which, of course, is the video game industry. Just a couple things I want to touch point on would be rumor and speculation of the Wii 2. Now, once again, this is just a lot of rumor and speculation, but the average gap for Nintendo is, what'd you say, Will?
It's about 5 years.
About 5 years. The longest gap would have been...
Between the NES to the SNES was 5 years and 10 months, so should be any time in this year or next year we hopefully see a new Wii.
Which, actually makes a lot of sense considering the original Wii was basically a GameCube with a motion sensor, so they've had all the time they're working on the original Wii plus all these time to work on the next generation console.
Yep, so it should be nice.
Yep.
Be hopefully a lot better.
And guys, on the release note of when Nintendo's going to release their next Wii, they did a press conference not too long ago, and there was some odd million units that they were supposed to try to sell before the new one comes out. So I don't think anything's set in stone as of now, and I think everything's purely speculation. But
Well, that would be what we were saying. It's mostly speculation. We're just based on, with the past Nintendo systems, the trends that they tend to follow, But like I said in the beginning, this is just some speculation we've been talking about. However, on that note, as for with Nintendo, that kind of brings us into our big discussion of the day, which would be the 3DS and the NGP, the next generation of handheld systems. Now, as you all know, Nintendo has dominated the handheld market for as long as there's been a handheld market, and the biggest gripe with the last PSP was the fact it only had one analog stick. Now, the 3DS comes in, as the name states, full real 3D. It's not, no glasses required, none of that stuff. It's real projection 3D.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how good the 3D is on that, though. I mean, we've seen a lot of the newer TVs with the glasses 3D, or use of the glasses with the 3D, and I have not been impressed at all by any means.
Yeah.
Makes everything really dark. I'm just wondering if there's going to be some small gimmick with the way these new 3D screens work. From what I've read and what I've seen, what I've heard, yeah, they're great, but until I see it, I'm not really convinced 100% yet.
And I watched G4 TV the other night, and they did a whole thing on the 3DS, and they had like some big top, optical surgeon on there that was explaining how well the 3DS was going to work, and he's fully behind it. I mean, he says it's going to be a great little system because I guess how the lines are that when you're looking at it, how they cross, he said it's going to be an amazing system.
Well, I did not know that. That's interesting news. I know that at the E3 conference when the 3DS was first announced, I know it stole the entire show. Everybody was going nuts about it. It's hard to see in any of the videos online, the 3D, because it's designed for the player, obviously. So you can't really get a good look at it without actually playing one.
Yeah, you got to be in that sweet spot where the 3D hits your eyes properly.
And on that too, with the E3, that was really the only real big announcement system-wise anyways. They dropped the 360 Slim, but it's nothing spectacular. It's just it's just a smaller version of the original Xbox. They didn't, this E3 this year is going to be huge because you got all the other stuff, like you got the new PSP coming out, which in my opinion, I think the PSP is going to just steal the handheld market.
See, now this is where our big discussion comes in. Which one do you think is going to be better? The NGP, obviously, with the dual analog sticks, is a big deal. I mean, the biggest gripe about the PSP was the design failure. I mean, being able to play games like Monster Hunter and any shooters and having to use the triggers to change your camera was a hassle to everybody. I know Ryan personally hated that very much. And what was the game you just played where you played it for about 2 minutes and put it down?
Epic fail.
And on that too, the thing is too, the reason a lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon with the new PSP is the fact that you'll be able to link your trophies to your PS3.
Yeah.
I mean, in trophies, when it comes to PlayStation players, is just like achievements when it comes to Xbox players. That gauges how good you are at games. people like to
How
see your
much time?
yeah. Well, I mean, and there was a thing
I
on
did beat Hannah Montana. So
That's
I'm not
true.
real proud of that.
but you know, and that comes back into the respect. You do have achievement whores,
right.
just like trophy
But
whores.
there are achievements, and
There are some achievements that I'm very
trophies.
proud of. You know, I killed the 75,000 or so zombies in Dead Rising 2 to get Zombie Genocider. I'm very proud of that achievement. Seriously, on Gears of War, the 10,000 online kills, that's all legit. It's legit stuff, but yeah, the trophies are great.
There are stuff that takes skill, though.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, even like seriously, I'm proud of my seriously too. 2 years, yeah, kind of proud of that one.
Took a while.
But still, it doesn't take skill to have it seriously. Depends on how long you stay and play that game over and over and over.
Shows
and over.
dedication.
But if you got skill like beating Dead Space 1 on the hardest difficulty,
Yeah, on impossible.
I mean, that's skill. If you do it legitimately, that is skill.
Definitely.
and I think that's gonna hurt the 3DS a little bit, just because there is no achievement / trophy aspect when it comes to Nintendo. Nintendo's all about just having fun and playing, as opposed to, you jump on Xbox and your friend, you're talking to one of your friends in a chat, and he's like, "Oh, I got this achievement." First thing you're gonna do is be like, "Look, I'm gonna get it too." You're gonna try to top your friend when it comes to
Right.
certain games. The first thing I look at when I jump online, I go to Andrew's thing and I'll be like, "He's playing the same game as me. I'm gonna get the achievements he has or beat the score he's got on that game."
That's true to a point where the average gamer does basically like to talk crap to their friends and outdo their friends. However, Nintendo's geared to a different market. Nintendo is geared towards, as you stated earlier tonight, before we started the show, a 6-year-old plays a DS. The games are a little bit simpler.
DS, yep, you're right. DS is aimed towards smaller kids.
And the soccer mom who walks in and purchases 2 or 3 DSs for all of her kids is going to walk in and purchase those DSs and not the PSPs. She doesn't want her kids playing a game like God of War. She wants her kids playing something like Mario.
I
Something
think
more
there's a
friendly.
market for that too, though.
Oh, I agree. I'm not arguing. I'm just, we're going off of different points here.
PSP to me is more of almost like a miniature multimedia station. The PS3 has been more of a more technological foundation in the gaming industry.
Yep.
PSP was as well. Like PSP had the memory stick duos that you needed. I remember back in the day, a 1 gig stick cost you, $60-$70.
Now they're down to like $10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you wanted to load all your content on there. I had a hacked PSP with all the Family Guy episodes on it, this and that, and then the DS never had anything like that. So you could really carry around a lot of your media. But I mean, to me, it just seems like it's more of a technologically advanced piece of equipment in regards to what you can do from a multimedia standpoint.
That is true, and as you mentioned, hacking PSPs, I did that a lot when I was in Iraq to get a little extra money on the side for popping cigarettes. But like you were saying about the hardware, I remember when the PS3 very first came out, when it was first announced, the PS3 had more processing power and more video power than any computer money could buy. PS3 was the most advanced piece of hardware out there when it first dropped. And it's true that Sony does improve on their hardware. But as for the hacking portion with the DS, you could, however, get the R4DS and do that.
Correct. Which there's hacks around all that, and that's, I guess, a different offshoot.
That's going back to that stick. There's a difference when you're doing it from the Wii or the Nintendo DS to the PSP. You can't get movies and stuff on the Wii
That's very
or on the
true.
DS. See, you got your PSP. You hack your PSP. You got movies, TV shows, whatever you want.
You don't even need to do that in general. It's just in general. I mean, it's more of a multimedia based platform
That's true.
than the DS is. Whereas the DS is bringing a lot of technology, or the 3DS is bringing a lot more technology to the table this time around with the 3D, which the next generation portable doesn't have. But that screen is LED this time on the next generation portable.
And-
so I mean, there's a lot of different trade-offs, and maybe later on down the road they'll start implementing 3D into the new NGPs. As a revision.
On that too, I mean, it's 3D. I mean, yeah, it's awesome. It's the new wave, but I don't know if too many people are ready to jump on that bandwagon.
I'll have both personally. I'll buy both.
Probably going to have both.
I agree with you, but the problem is you're looking. Like, even when they drop out the new TVs, how much are you looking at one of the TVs? 3D TVs, what, $2,000-$3,000?
However, though,
That's a lot of money to throw down on a TV to sit in front of it to wear glasses.
you're right about that, but I tell you what, everybody who's got that money to spend has got those 3D TVs, and they love them. I don't know a single person who doesn't have that extra cash who doesn't have a 3D TV.
It's true. I
Average
mean,
person might not be able to afford it, but the people who can, they gotta have it.
But at this point in time, a 3D TV is kind of a waste of money.
Well, you gotta realize that, yeah, it might be a waste of money now, but in order for the technology to advance, you have to put those beginning foundations in. There has to be TVs with glasses before there's TVs without glasses.
Well, see, and I'm not even going off that. I'm going off of the fact that...
Or even just game systems.
Like, a lot of your games, like 360 games, PS3 games, you don't have a lot of 3D games yet.
Right.
You know, your TV channels, you don't have... I think DirecTV's got like 6 3D channels, and I think Time Warner's got 3.
PlayStation's really started that lately with, like, the PlayStation firmware update that allows you to have, like, you know, Killzone now in full 3D. So, you have to have all that. Technically, PS3 was the first one to really bring 3D to the table and to the mainstream.
And on that note, you know, there's always has to be early adopters for everything. And the early adopters are going to eat the brunt of the cost of the technology. But like Will said, you know, to have that technology that goes down so other people can afford it.
Yeah, you got a lot of people that, you know, don't have jobs or have jobs that don't pay well. They're not going to go out.
This guy.
Yeah, they're not going to go out. Most people do. I mean, even like, you know, you may work at any store, just minimum wage is minimum wage. You ain't going to afford a $3,000 TV on minimum wage. I mean, and on top of that, most people you see at stores buying stuff are usually using their college money for it anyway. So, I mean, should be paying for college, not for that $3,000 TV, but...
I don't think that either of these systems are going to have a hard time selling, personally. I think they're going to sell anyway. It's a brand new system. PS3, when I stood in line for that, people, they were gone. You couldn't get them anywhere. The system was awful at launch. Terrible. Terrible game selection, but people still bought them. So,
on that note, that's the big question of the day. What do we think is going to win? As we all know, Nintendo has always dominated the handheld market. There have been better systems to come out. The Game Gear, back in the day, to compete with the Game Boy. Minus the battery life on the Game Gear, it was hands down a better system. It was full color. The graphics were better. You know, except for the battery life, which was very bad, it was a better system. The PSP, when it first dropped, was in fact a better system. Minus the design flaw with a single analog stick, it was a better system than the Game Boy Advance or the DS. But Nintendo has still never even been touched in the handheld market. So, what do we think, guys?
When you go off of that note, like when you're talking about the Game Gear was the first one to actually port the actual game to the system. Like when you played Sonic on the Game Gear, it was the same as the one on Sega.
Right.
And the PSP is going to do pretty much the same thing. That's what they're saying for this, is you're going to be able to play Killzone 3 on your PSP, and it's going to be the same thing you're going to play on the PS3 with some changes in it. But it's going to be more than like if you play like Mario for the Game Boy. And you play it on the Wii, it's a totally different game. Like they're
Zelda Link's Awakening,
but they're saying that it's going to be more like
they're closing the gap.
Yeah,
I mean, there's going to be a lot of graphical differences still. I mean,
the graphics are going to be different.
Still going to have a difference, but the gameplay is really starting to close the gap, especially with the dual analog stick. It's going to feel more like a PlayStation controller, and yeah, I understand your point on that.
Yeah, I feel like I would rather play a game that's more adaptable to what you've already played. Like if I play Killzone 3 and I play Killzone 3 on the PSP, it's more of the same game as opposed to anything else.
You know, from a business side standpoint of things, you know, I know both of them has both built-in libraries for their games, so they are backwards compatible with whatever was before that. But I think a lot of players are going to get mixed up in the Nintendo crowd because I've already had a ton of customers ask me, you know, are my DS games going to play on the 3DS? And, you know, you get an inexperienced salesman in that situation, there's no telling what they can say to them. And in the PSP crowd, I can see a lot of confusion because there's 2 analog sticks now. You know, are my old games going to play with both sticks? Or am I going to still be stuck with
one?
That's... And common sense tells you that they're not going to reprogram all... you know, however many PSP games there are just because of this. And I still haven't seen anything on a UMD drive for the PSP2.
I don't believe there is. I haven't seen one. I mean, that's just speculation for me, but looking at what pictures we've seen and what we've seen in the system, doesn't look like there's a UMD drive. Now, as for the 3DS...
Sony's been really, sorry to cut you off, Sony has been really pushing digital download, digital content, digital streaming, so... It's probably going to be all flash based, but that's speculation.
On the PSP note, you know, I have a Go, Scott has a Go, Will has a Go, you know.
Andrew doesn't.
We don't mind having the Go because, you know, we all three got 15, 20 games on our Go, and that's the only thing we got to carry around with us. Was Sony right to release to go at the time they did? No. In my opinion, I think they pulled a Sega on everybody. I think they should have just left from the 3000 all the way to the PSP 2. But, you know, I'm thankful for that because I do love my PSP Go. It is small, it is light, and I don't have to carry around a bunch of extra stuff.
And on that note, if you don't know what he's talking about when he says Sega moment, the Dreamcast was well before its time.
Well, Sega always had a history, because when you went from the Sega Genesis, and then they had the 32X add-on, and then the Sega CD add-on, and then they went from that to the Saturn, and then from the Saturn to the Dreamcast, and that was in, what, a year or two period? From the Saturn to
about a 2-year period, yeah.
And the Dreamcast, as we all know, was way ahead of its time. Blue was, in all rights reserved, way better than the competition at the time.
Right. I mean, it lacked the DVD player. That's what killed it.
See, I hear that a lot. I hear that point. But on the same note, the GameCube lacked a DVD player, and that didn't affect it. I mean, it did affect it to a point, but not as bad as it affected the Dreamcast.
It's Nintendo.
True.
You could get a bag. You could get a bag with a pile of dog crap in it and slap Nintendo on it, and people would buy it. I mean,
I will agree. Nintendo is the name of gaming. I mean,
it's the longest running name ever in the game history. So I mean, people are gonna buy it regardless what it is. Just with the 3DS, people are gonna buy it.
well,
They want it. It's Nintendo. You know, if you're one of the younger kids that didn't grow up on the older Nintendos like we did, you know, we grew up on the Game Boy and the original Game Boy that was like a 5-pound Game Boy. You know, we grew up on that. You know, a lot of these kids didn't. So, you know, they may be Sony fans where they're gonna rock. You know, I don't want the DS. I want something that's got a little bit harder game, something a little better to play.
I started gaming. I started playing on Sega Genesis and PS1.
You know?
Just in the younger generation where we grew up with those different brandings. You know, Nintendo really didn't have a huge bearing on my life. Like, I played the Marios and stuff, but it really didn't.
Well, I think Nintendo lost a lot of focus when they went to the GameCube.
And on that, Nintendo's always been more of your family-oriented game system. There's no blood and gore in a lot of their games. There's no, the worst game that I've ever seen for it was Conker's Bad Fur Day, and you play it as a hungover squirrel. I mean,
well, you did have Mad World for the Wii, which was a very gruesome game.
Yeah,
where the only thing in the only color in the game was in fact the blood.
Right, and they changed that up as they got into the new systems, but for the most part, if you're wanting to play blood and gore, you don't buy a Nintendo system. You buy an Xbox, you buy a Sony, you buy whatever is out, because as well as everybody at this table knows, if you buy any kind of shooting game for Sega or for the Xbox or PlayStation, it's going to be loaded blood in there.
But true.
You buy Call of Duty for the Wii, there's no blood in it.
However, on that note, Call of Duty for the Wii, and this is coming from some of my military buddies, where we just talked about this earlier today at Drill, actually. Call of Duty for the Wii takes a ridiculous amount of skill versus some of the other ones.
That's because
that's
it's
just a little side note. It's more realistic to guys like us who are used to firing and stuff like that. But that's a side note. Back to our discussion on the 3DS and the NGP. Now, like we've already said, Nintendo's dominated the handheld market since there was a handheld market, And with the release of the last PSP, I think the market share was somewhere around 75% versus 25% in Nintendo's favor. Now, as of late, I know that Nintendo's dropped just a little bit in system sales, not game sales, in the system sales to the iPhone, actually. The iPhone for gaming use only. Not for...
PSP dropped down a little bit also.
Yeah. Nintendo and the PSP both took a hit due to the iPhone. Is that going to affect the next wave? We don't know.
I don't think it will.
Until something gets announced from Apple that nobody knew about, the next iPad, we have no idea. I mean, there's speculation about it.
I think the iPhone 4 thing will increase, in fact, because of the Verizon deal now.
That's true.
There's going to be a lot more people that have the iPhone 4. Is anything over going to take Nintendo in the handheld space? I don't think so. Is the PSP going to gain ground in the handheld space? In my opinion, yes, it will.
I honestly, in my opinion, I love Nintendo. I always have. Grew up playing Nintendo. I got a regular Nintendo at home. I got a 64. I got all the systems at home. That's nothing against that. My problem is I just think the PSP is going to dominate this time. I mean, yes, I understand you got your Zeldas coming out and you got your big icons for the system.
Ocarina of Time is a cult following. It is a cult classic.
And you got your big games for the Nintendo, but you got to remember, Sony's going to have big games. Anything that has Kratos, God of War in it is going to dominate when it drops.
Monster Hunter,
Killzone, Resistance, any of them, Little Big Planet
Epically speaking, Uncharted on a PSP
would be amazing.
Oh my god.
Phenomenal.
I agree. I do agree. However, when the PSP original first dropped, there was huge hype. They were like, oh my god, it's going to take Nintendo. There was a big deal about it. Even with the design flaw, before it was even played, when it was first announced, people said it was going to beat Nintendo. And what happened? It flopped. Nintendo
didn't really-
destroyed them.
It didn't flop.
In system sales, Nintendo destroyed
It didn't
them.
flop. The problem was when the PSP released, it was just like the Wii when it dropped. There was no good games for it.
But the
as-
Wii still
as-
dominated sales.
Right, but as the market went on, 6 months down the road, you've seen PSPs climbing up the market because they started dropping your big name games for Killzones and your two God of War games, Metal Gear Solid. They started dropping that, and Nintendo started getting worried. They did.
And on a software note, in 2009, PSP had its worst year in history
Yes.
because there were only a handful of titles even made for the PSP in 2009.
Yep. And since then, I mean, PSP is dominant. It's been a lot better.
I was gonna say right out of the gates with the PSP, there were a lot of hardware design flaws. UMD disc, that was very, very ballsy on Sony's end.
Yes, it
using
was.
a format that's never been seen before.
Yeah, that was- I don't know about
Somebody
that.
say mini disc.
Yeah.
That and then the one analog stick, and there was just so many design flaws that I think they've learned from this time around.
The size too. I mean, it
Yeah,
was,
I mean
it
they
was
were big.
bulky.
It wasn't portable. I think they've really learned a lot from that.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the 3DS, I've noticed something that I think might have actually been a big mistake on Nintendo's part. I mean, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in some of the screens we were looking at the other day, the 3DS does in fact have one analog stick, does it not?
Only one.
Yes.
Do you guys think that's going to be an issue?
I don't-
I know with the PSP it was.
I think it'll be an issue for shooters once again.
Yeah, if they start dropping a bunch of shooters for the DS, yes.
I don't want
But
to play
other-
Resident Evil with a stylus.
Yeah, other than that, most of your DS games involve just moving and using your stylus. So I mean, if they drop a bunch of shooter games, you're gonna have tremendous people disappointed with the DS. There's no doubt about that. I'm sure 4 people here are gonna be disappointed with it. If you got to play Resident Evil, like Andrew said, with a stylus, that's kind of ridiculous. But I mean, on that aspect, how many actual good shooter games did they release for the DS?
You know,
Not
Scott,
very many.
Another comment that I'd like to make in the PSP versus DS era here is Sony seems to always shoot themselves in the foot with price range. I think
true.
that's why Nintendo dominates so much.
Now
Dude,
we've sorry.
DS was cheap back then. You know, it was a little over. It was what 150.
150 for the light.
And
Mhm.
the PSP came out at
Still
what was
200.
200.
I believe.
249.
249.
It was 250?
199 too.
Yeah, because I remember the God of War edition dropped.
It went
That
down to
was-
199.
The God of War edition was when it dropped down to
Yeah.
199.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even from launch to launch perspective, PSP was what, $399 at launch or something? $299? Something higher like that? I can't remember
What's
exactly.
that?
Like the PSP at launch when it first came out.
Yeah,
249.
the
299.
yeah 299.
299.
That's pretty hefty for what you were getting.
Especially for a
Compared
handheld.
to the DS. So I mean, the price point in there too, the technology that you were getting was
And I still think they went overboard too when they dropped the Go. I mean, yeah,
They
the
did.
Go was great. I guarantee if they would have put the Go at about 200, maybe like 175, it would have sold a lot. Problem was, I'm not going to spend $250 for something that I have to then turn around and pay.
You do though.
You do, and I do have a PSP. I have the Go. I love my Go, but
We all do.
I didn't pay $250 for mine. I waited till it dropped a little bit, but still, on that,
I rocked the 250, and you know I like the analogy, and it is true that you know for another $50 you get a PSP or a PS3.
it's true. Thing is, though, I mean, now if they're, it depends on what they're going to drop the new PSP at. I bet you're going to be looking at $250 to $300.
Well, they're gonna have to either match or below Nintendo.
See, that's the thing though. When the PS3 and 360 first came out, they didn't make any money on system sales.
Right.
I know for a fact the PS3 was a loss.
It-
I'm
it
not
took-
sure about the
it took
360.
Xbox
Both
2
losses.
years.
Yeah.
Whereas the Nintendo, what was it? The first 5,000 sold they made profit on.
Their first million.
But on that, when you look at that, and I understand your concept of that, the Wii is such of a cheaper system to make than the 360 or the
Well,
PS3.
That's the point I'm getting at here. Okay,
But
Nintendo doesn't spend all that money on the big hardware. Nintendo also targets family play. They target, getting the kids to all get one. So whereas the mom and pop can afford to buy 2 DSs, one for each kid, at almost the same price as one PSP.
But
something that I've noticed about the 3DS that you don't see in the Wii, and we've said it time and time again, I think all 4 of us in this room, our biggest fantasy is to see Super Metroid on the 3 engine, right?
Oh, definitely.
But when you see the videos for the Resident Evil for the 3DS, they look gorgeous.
yeah.
Yeah, the Resident Evil on the 3DS. And as you know, me and Andrew are huge Capcom fans. Love Resident Evil. I personally own 4 copies of Resident Evil 4, one for every platform it came out on. And, obviously, I'm getting a 3DS definitely for Resident Evil. And Ocarina of Time, as we all said, it's a cult classic. It really is. Labeled as one of the greatest games of all time on almost anywhere you look. It's always in the top 10. So, I mean, that right there is a big deal.
So, I mean, maybe Nintendo is listening in that respect, and Nintendo's already showed their hand with their $249 price tag, too.
But the problem with that too is Nintendo has to go back with bringing back the old games to get people to buy the systems.
That's true.
They
resurrect
you're resurrecting one of the greatest games ever made, Ocarina of Time. Everybody in their eyes, I don't care who you are, 99% of the people say that's the best Zelda ever made, and I'll agree with them. It was one of the best. But the biggest title that they've said so far for the 3DS is Ocarina of Time.
Also, the new Super Mario Brothers.
I have to disagree with both of you. I think the biggest thing you're going to come out of the 3DS is the new Kid Icarus.
Kid Icarus, but
that's true. Kid Icarus is a big one.
I think that's going to overshadow all of them because it's an old IP that hasn't been drudged up for 15, 20 years.
And the thing on that too is it's not a remake.
Right.
It's an entire new game.
That's true.
So that's the thing I'm saying. But I'm saying you've noticed it too. Everybody has. Nintendo does a lot of remakes.
They do.
Because it sells because people want to play that stuff. Me personally, if I want to play that, I'll hook the old system up and play it. But that's just me.
But really, should Ocarina of Time be a cartridge-based release, or should that really be a download release?
I'm thinking a download.
I do agree with the download.
It should be a
but
Wii
they're
point.
Not going to do that.
No, they're going to cartridge it.
Part of the reason why, though, is because you had the Master Quest released on the GameCube and the Collector's Edition for the GameCube. They've already rehashed it once and just ported it, and that was one of the best sellers. I know right now, as for value of retro games, the Master Quest and the Collector's Edition Zelda for the GameCube are 2 of the higher-priced GameCube games. Now, what you were saying about Kid Icarus, it's true that hasn't been touched on for 15 years. However, Smash Bros. Brawl...
Longer than 15.
Okay, 25, whatever it may be. Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Everybody loves Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers, amazing multiplayer game. You can pick up Smash Brothers anytime with your buddies. Brawl did have Pit in it, and that made a big deal about it. When Pit was introduced into Brawl, there was a lot of hype about Kid Icarus. Who is this guy? I know a lot of people did a lot of research on that, and some of my friends even went out and got Nintendos just to see what this game was all about and who this Pit character was. So that has actually improved the hype for Kid Icarus, seeing as Pit had that appearance in Smash Brothers. Maybe Nintendo was thinking and did that on purpose because they already knew they were going to do it on the 3DS.
I don't know. It's just there's a lot there to take in. I guess it's going to be. I bet it's going to be an even Battlefield. I mean, I think it's just going to be fair to say that probably the 4 people that are sitting at this table, if they have them, they'll probably have both.
Oh, I agree. We'll all have both.
I think the biggest thing is going to be the price point.
Definitely.
And I think Sony saved themselves by using some old technology.
They did use old technology this time? About time?
Well, at the base of it, it's still PSP.
Right.
I mean, you got another analog stick, which in the modding community has been common since what, the 2000 model?
I think there was touch mods in the 1000. Not very many. I think there was a couple out there, but mostly
The
once in
second
2000.
stick.
I know.
Yeah.
Touch on modding
Right.
is what I meant to say.
And then you got the OLED touchscreen, and then you got the port from the phone in the back, the little touch thing. So it'll be interesting to see how that all goes.
All right. Well, we need to wrap this conversation up, and on the final note, who do you think is going to win the handheld market? Andrew, what do you think?
I'm buying both, so I really don't care.
I have to agree. I'll probably have both. I mean, I would like to see Nintendo finally fail at something.
Overall,
Virtual Boy.
Well, besides the Virtual Boy, but you know what I mean. Like in the new gen systems, Nintendo's not failed at anything.
sales, I think is going to go to Nintendo. But technology, ingenuity, bringing something new to the table.
Sony.
They both do it, but it's so hard to say right now. I'm going to be in the middle, and I really can't determine.
I'll play both. I'll have both, and I don't think there's going to be a clear winner ever.
And Will, you think Sony's the clear winner?
No, I want Sony to be the clear winner, but not everything can go off of that.
Well, I just look at history and the history of handhelds, and I just believe that Nintendo has that market. They're not going to be defeated. I mean, better systems have came out, as I stated when we first started this discussion, and Nintendo still hasn't lost. I think that the PSP2 is going to do better than the previous ones, but I think the 3DS is still going to be the clear winner in the handheld market. Well, that's enough on that. We kind of beat that horse dead. All right, folks. Well, our discussion on the NGP 3DS ran a little bit longer than we expected. So what we're going to do is we're going to save our discussion on our top 10 for next week. So quick rundown for next week. We're going to do that Dead Space 2 we talked about, the discussion, and also we'll be having some guest appearances from some of our Beatdown series competitors. But we are going to go over our top 10 of 2011 real quick, just the list.
Just our top picks, not necessarily top 10.
This is going to be more of like a prediction thing, what we think is going to be hot this year, what's looking good, and I guess I could start it out from there on the 360. Of course, Bulletstorm, that's looking huge. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 looks really good as well.
We're all excited for that one.
Crysis 2. A lot of these are going to be multi-platform, so you might hear a lot of rehashing. Gears 3, which is a major game.
It's
for
a big
me.
one.
We
this year.
love Gears in this store.
Get your Bulletstorm to get your beta.
Yep.
Brink. The new Elder Scrolls. Haven't really seen any gameplay for it, but the old Elder Scrolls I was obsessed with, so this looks good. Batman Arkham City, and then the new Bioshock Infinite. So that's what I got for the rundown of the 360 platform. I think Will's going to go over the PS3.
Are we going to go over the internet list?
No, next week. Yeah, we'll go over the PS3 next for what we think. Killzone 3 seems really good. The other ones were awesome. Of course, Uncharted 3.
Oh, yeah.
Contender for Game of the Year.
Most likely will be Game of the Year. I mean, there's not...
We'll see.
Well,
I'm not going to say most
They
likely.
follow
Contender.
The same line that they did with Uncharted 2.
Yeah, if it's as
Give
good
me
as
a
Uncharted
lock.
2, it's a lock as soon as it drops. Rage seems
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Rage. And a side note on Rage, Brink's running the same engine, the new Id 5 engine.
Yep.
Which is
Made
a
by
gorgeous
ID,
engine.
correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
We do have some ones that have... I'm going to go ahead and say this one. We crossed off the list, but we already put it on there. Little Big Planet 2. Pretty good game this year so far. It's done pretty good. I mean, Infamous 2 comes out this year. This first one wasn't bad. It wasn't the greatest thing, but maybe they did better with this one. Anybody that's a shooter fan, PS3, Resistance 3 is coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody loved the first one. Everybody loved the second one. Mass Effect 3, they've announced maybe this year. Probably get pushed back to next, but it's on the list.
Now, as for Mass Effect 3, that is a multi-platform title.
Multi-platform.
Yep.
And this time, they're not porting it to the PS3. It's
Nope.
going to be developed.
It's going to
to
be
go.
a disc. Yep,
Yeah.
it's going to be straight up. Last Guardian seems like it's going to be a pretty epic game this year for PS3.
Definitely.
LA Noire, multi-platform as well, I do believe.
The graphics in that are ridiculous. The
Yep.
new engine they use for the facial recognition. So, I mean...
Deus Ex.
Seems Human
Long
Revolution.
time coming.
Yep.
Original Xbox era there.
Yep, that's also going to be a multi-platform, but we marked it down on the PlayStation since, PlayStation's probably not going to do too much this year. Just some big ones. And
E3 comes through and Sony blows your mind.
Now,
yeah,
speaking of...
on the one that's not on the list, I noticed that we didn't put on there. Mortal Kombat 9 comes out in March.
Epic fail.
I can't believe that we didn't have that on that list. That's crazy.
I'm
They're
personally
talking
more
about
excited for
sticks and
MVC3.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel vs. Capcom is going to be amazing, but I mean, Mortal Kombat, man, that's original.
Kratos!
Yeah, and on PS3 we'll have Kratos, and was it Mortal Kombat you get Kratos, or was it Marvel? It was Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, and I don't know who they announced
put-
for
Need to
Xbox,
put Marcus Phoenix in it.
right? Yeah, with a chainsaw, that'd be sweet.
Oh, yeah.
And on that note, we're going to go ahead and jump over to some of our top picks for the Nintendo Wii. Scott's going to handle that.
Alright, and as he said, not doing a whole lot this year. Nintendo doesn't look to doing very much. Couple couple big things that I like to see. We got the Mario sports coming out. I mean, everybody loves Mario. The sports games for Wii are great. Conduit 2. Conduit was a great title. Conduit 2 looks really good. Last Story, another good RPG style too. Now, we got some comebacks too. I don't know if any of y'all played Xenosagas or the Xenogears series, but they have a new Xenoblade coming out for the Wii, and that just looks awesome. I mean, I was a big fan of the Xenosaga series with more complex RPGs, a little bit harder. Fatal Frame 4. Fatal Frame finally making a comeback. Great survival horror series. Love that one. And obviously, the biggest title for the Wii that everybody's looking forward to, and I believe will be another contender for Game of the Year, will be the new Zelda Skyward Sword. Also, I saw a note on a possible, now this is just speculation and rumor, a port to the Nintendo Wii of a Nintendo versus Capcom. Seeing a little bit of Mega Man fighting against Link. I don't know if that's any factual on that.
I don't know.
Some speculation. I think that would be a lot of fun, though.
No, Capcom, they probably do something like that. They're all about their money.
I don't know if we're going to see Tekken versus Capcom this year.
Well, you might not see Tekken versus Capcom, but you might see the Tekken versus Street Fighter that was previewed at E3.
Tekken
was that
versus Street Fighter, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Was that 2 years ago that happened?
I think it was just last year.
Yeah.
Was it last year?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
But
it's,
But
over
I've
summer.
seen a few things on a few news sites about it lately, so...
I think we need to see a new Neo Geo SNK.
now, here's the big question, though. If they do
That'd be sweet.
Garo, Marco
Yes.
if they do the Tekken versus Street Fighter, which way do you think they'll go with it? The 3D Tekken or the 2D Street Fighter?
It'd be
2D.
2D. The video's already been released.
Right, but they could change
It's
that.
2D. No,
That'd be 2D.
It'll be a fail if it's 3D.
I
Street
think,
Fighter
I think it
4
works better.
Street
in
Fighter
2D.
4 brought back that 2D era, I believe.
And it did it well, as we all know. We've all been playing some Street Fighter 4.
The 2D, 3D hybrid like they have, I think works
Yeah.
great.
Mm-hmm.
And it
The
was,
3D
it was nice
backgrounds.
to see Axis bring Blaze Blue out. They're the ones that did
Guilty Gear.
And I'd like to see that make a comeback too.
Blaze Blue's a fun game. I enjoy it.
I want to see a remake of Eternal Champions. Get it, baby. Go back Sega style.
Wow.
That game was awesome until you play it now.
What I would really like to see is, I mean, if I could see anything, it would probably be a Metroid-style side-scroller running on the Unreal Engine, just like Shadow Complex for the 360.
Never happened.
Nope.
If that happened, that would just dominate all, and you
Yep.
know it. If Nintendo did it, it would dominate everything, and you know it.
It would.
The only thing you're ever going to get close enough to that Shadow Complex, maybe a second one.
It'd be nice to just see a new 2D Metroid.
It would.
And the other M was good, but I mean, it still had the 3D aspect in it, but it had a lot of the side scrolling in it.
Now, Shadow Complex 2 would be nice.
I think you're gonna see that, and I think
it'll be-
it at E3.
I think it'll be a disc this time.
I think it will too.
I bet they do a full 1,000 gamer score for this one.
Well, didn't Shadow Complex 1 win a whole lot of awards and
Yes.
was
Yes.
won like the best download title or something like that?
Best arcade game.
Best arcade
Chair,
game.
Chair Entertainment did a iPhone app for Epic at closed doors one year, and Epic decided at that point that they was going to buy a chair, and they did, and they turned their iPhone app into Shadow Complex.
Yeah, and
Oh.
That's where it was originally developed.
it doesn't matter. As long as it's got Epic's name on it, I'll play it. Epic and the Unreal Engine is just whoop,
Cliffy
too
D.
good. Too good.
Can't do no wrong.
All right, folks. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Once again, we're at Gamer, greatest game store on the face of the earth. I'm Scott.